The new executive board for the Student Government Association. We will start from the top and move down. The new student government president for next year is Carl or CJ Finero.
No surprise there, right?
No surprise. Yeah, no contested elections this year, so a lot of no surprises. But there is one open spot. We'll get to that when we get to the end. Thomas Severin is the new executive vice president, taking the reins from me, which I'm more than willing to hand over.
Right.
Pat Lynch is the new Vice President for Internal Affairs. Kayla Kosak is the new Vice President for Communications. And then there is the Vice President for Administration spot, which is open as of now. Any member of the current legislature can nominate a member of the current legislature at our meeting on Thursday.
So there's a spot yet to be filled.
Yes, it's wide open.
And why is that?
Well, a bunch of factors. Lack of interest might be one.
Okay. And what happens if the spot doesn't get filled?
If the spot doesn't get filled, luckily I will be done with my job, so I won't have to worry about it. No, I'm kidding.
So you don't get it?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. If this process doesn't work out, and apparently we've heard a lot of people are interested in taking nominations, so people have been asking others to nominate, so it'll be a good meeting on Thursday. Obviously, student government meetings are open to everybody, so if you're interested to see how it all goes down, you show up on Thursday at 3:30.
Thursday at 3:30. Okay.
Boom.
Well, I hope you find somebody.
Me too.
I would volunteer, but I'm not going to be here, so as we know, I'm graduating. So anyway, we have a great show planned for you today. And speaking of Thursday, we've got a guest in our studio to talk about something that's going on this Thursday, actually tomorrow. Ken?
Oh, yes. Dr. Tony Kelso is joining us here today on the Yappy Hour. And Dr. Kelso received his Ph.D. in Culture and Communication from NYU in 2002. He also earned a B.S. in Theater and Drama and an M.A. in Telecommunication Arts from the University of Michigan. Before coming to Iona, Tony had taught classes in Communication Studies at the University of Michigan, the New York Institute of Technology, and NYU. So he has a background of just stuff, and he's got a brain that we're ready to pick on, I think.
Well, welcome, Dr. Kelso, to our studio today. Thanks for joining us.
Well, thanks for having me. I mean, in spite of all my experience, this is my first appearance on the Yappy Hour, so this is quite an honor.
Well, thank you.
Well, we feel privileged to have you. So you're here to talk about a Mass Comm sponsored event, and it's part of the Media and Diversity series. So can you talk a little bit about what that series is and what you aim to do?
Yeah, right. So my department, well, not personally my department, department for which I work, is the Department of Mass Communication, and we are starting what we're hoping to become an annual series on the broad issue of media and diversity. And the reason why we see this as important is because we live in a diverse society, we have a diverse student body, and so we want to, and it's important that the media reflect these issues and that we talk about these issues. And there's been lots of criticism throughout history in terms of representations of different groups in the media, and so we're going to tackle different issues. The first event that we have scheduled, as you mentioned, is tomorrow for Thursday. It's going to be in the End Zone from 5 to 6, and we have some flyers posted around campus. It's called Waking Up from the American Dream, Immigrants in the Media. And so what we're going to do there is look at some clips from this documentary. This a lot of these issues are issues that you see different points of view regarding. And for example, there's a lot of sensitivity towards immigration. There are, on one side feels very resistant to immigrants coming here and feel as though they're stealing jobs and feel as though they're getting benefits at the expense of other people's tax dollars and so on. But then there is the other side to the story, and where people are it's true that people do break the law when they cross the border, but they're not necessarily horrible people that they're doing what they feel they need to do to help their families. Right. And so this
that's the stance this documentary.
Yeah, well, this documentary focused, well, It focuses on two people, but we're really going to look at clips about one because I felt that it would the students would relate to it a lot because it features an undocumented student from UCLA, and so her family smuggled her over across the border in a trunk of a car when she was 3 years old. Okay, but so she's not an American citizen because she wasn't born here, and yet she's grown up here, and it's all she really knows, and she feels American, and she's a very good student, and yet once she graduates from UCLA, then she will have difficulty finding employment because she doesn't have a social security number and so on.
So you mentioned the different opinions and how everybody's kind of got a whole wide variety of, those opinions going into a topic like this. Does the student panel that takes place after the showing of the documentary, is that kind of to show all of the different opinions? Have you talked to the students who are on the panel? Do you know where they stand?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't. I've recruited students. Basically, I've just reached out to anybody who had some kind of perspective to share. I honestly don't know where each one is going to stand.
Right.
I have the sense that each person knows people that are in this type of situation and will be able to comment on it.
Right. Well, choosing students is so interesting because a lot of times when we have these events on campus, you'll see a panel of professors and it's not so student focused. And I think the topic of immigration isn't necessarily something that students, when you're thinking college students and issues that affect them, that's not the first one that comes to mind.
Right.
But you really are trying to marry those two together, having students on the panel.
Yeah. And maybe, who knows? We might have undocumented students at Iona. I have no idea. But I would assume that there are students on campus who have undocumented family members in their lives.
Right.
For example, I come from I come from the Midwest, but I live in northern Manhattan, and there's a heavy Dominican community there, and I know that a lot of the people are what percentage, I have no idea, but I know that there are a lot of people that are undocumented, and one of the students that I invited to come on the panel is from that neighborhood, and so he'll be able to talk about that. And I'm glad you brought up the panel, because it's not just going to be watching a dry documentary. We'll watch a few clips, but then it'll be followed up. The idea, and I want it to be more student-centered, because I know a lot of times the students get tired of listening to people like me. They're probably tired right now. Why do you have this guy on the radio, But so they get tired of listening to professors in the classroom, and I feel like, well, let's let students lead the discussion. I might moderate, but then what I would hope is that we get a good Q&A going also. And that will help also bring about a diversity of opinion.
Absolutely.
Of course. So as a department, or even you personally, is this something that you are trying to bring a larger kind of spotlight to, this situation in general, or
the immigration issue?
Yeah.
Not necessarily. I just think that it's something, we're in a liberal arts institution, and it's and we're Americans, right?
Right.
And sometimes we call ourselves a nation of immigrants, and yet there seems to be resistance to a lot of immigrants that have been coming lately, and it's something that we really do need to face, and it's an issue out there in the news. That we're looking at the demographics of the country. It's changing dramatically. Now when they identify so-called minority groups, Latinos or Hispanics are regarded as the largest minority group now.
And growing
Such
in
an
this country.
oxymoron, isn't it?
The largest
The largest minority.
And also, so that's tomorrow, Thursday, but this is a part of a series, so can you just briefly highlight the stuff that's going to be coming up after
Sure.
spring break?
So, well, obviously we're not having anything next week while people have fun on spring break, but the week that we come back on that Thursday, on March 27th, this one will be from 7 to 8 p.m. in the McGrath Room at La Penta, and the title of this one is Why Do the Police Think I'm a Thug? Media Stereotypes of African American Males.
I think you showed part of that in your advertising class.
We talk about that issue.
What is it? The stop and frisk.
Right. Well, this is an issue that, and it's a sort of a stereotype that isn't just one that you see today, but it has been that we've seen throughout time, this issue of black men being dangerous, being a threat, that they need to be feared, and the stereotype continues today, where you see, hip hop artists that are, that are actually presenting themselves in this way, but then, but there is this disproportionate number of representations of African American males coming off as these sort of thug. And what was it that what happened where there was a controversy with? Oh, it was that football player for the Seattle Seahawks. I forget his name.
Oh gosh, Crabtree. I just keep remembering him saying Crabtree. Sherman.
Okay, yeah, and and they were describing him as a thug. And he was saying basically that's just the new way of referring in a derogatory way to a black male. But there's been issues.
Richard Sherman.
Yeah, what happened not that long ago with Trayvon Martin. That here you had a young African American man going to the store and getting some Skittles and a iced tea, and then he gets, again, what exactly happened after that? We don't.
Right.
Well, the jury made its decision, but we do know that that's all he was up to, going in, and then another gentleman felt threatened by his very presence. And there was another news item recently where there was a car full of African American males, and they were playing loud rap music.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
And then there was a guy in the car next to them who felt threatened by that.
Yes.
And shot. In this carload of kids.
Hard to even think about that as a reason to act in that manner.
So we're going to have, this time it's not going to be an Iona student panel, but it will be a young man who has an interesting story. I learned about him a couple of years ago. He had an op-ed article that was printed in the New York Times, and he talked about how he had been randomly stopped and frisked on a number of occasions, and it really made an impression on me, and I felt like his story was one that maybe students it would be useful, or there would be meaningful to share with other students, and something that students probably should hear about. So and then since then he's been on news programs talking about the issue, and he was on National Public Radio. He hasn't been on your show yet.
We're working on him,
but
guaranteed.
But anyway, he's going to come and talk about that. We'll also set it up with some video clips, and he'll share his story. I mean, one of the times where he was stopped and frisked, my understanding is they, put him up against the wall. They took his keys and they went into his apartment and scared his sister. And and again, we do want to get. This is not a one-sided issue. We want to get some. There's different sides to the story.
More positive spin, right? You want both sides.
And that's really where I'm hoping that students will come out, because there are different perspectives on this, and not everybody's going to agree with this. This man's name is Nicholas Pert, and not everybody's going to agree with his perspective. And I'm hoping that one department that this would really relate to is criminal justice. And to see it from the side of the police force.
Right.
So that's the second one.
Right. So as you mentioned, that's Thursday, March 27th. Both on Thursday.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the second event with the stop and it's the media stereotypes of African Americans. That one's at 7 to 8 rather than 5 to 6.
And they're both in La Penta. This one tomorrow is in the End Zone.
Right.
And then that one on the 27th is in the McGrath Room.
Right.
Okay. Well, definitely.
All right.
There is a third one if you're interested in hearing about it.
When
we go too long?
I think we're okay. Are we all right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're all right.
Look, I don't want to take up
It's
the whole
spring break,
show
man. What are you
here.
doing?
No, we'll put them all out there. They're all on Thursday.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the following one would be Thursday, April 3rd, and this one is on the issue of LGBTQ athletes in sports.
Okay.
Ooh, that'll be fun.
My feeling here was that sports is a big draw. And this is a hot issue right now in the media, where we just had, here again, the names escape me,
Jason
Collins,
Collins
who came out as gay last summer, but he wasn't on a team at that time. Yet he was recent. Is he still playing?
Yeah, I think they're continuously signing him to 10-day contracts, which is kind of weird, but
but in doing so, he became
the first
first openly gay man in history to play in an NBA game. I mean, athletes in these pro sports sometimes will later come out as gay, but they stay closeted while they're playing because they feel like they're just
they can't do it.
Yeah, it's just unacceptable. And then we had this. Is it Michael Sam? Is that his name? The football player,
the college football player. Yep.
And he's expected to be drafted into the NFL, and if he makes a team, he'll be the first openly gay man in the history of the NFL to play.
Here's hoping.
And so I'm assembling a panel there, and of LGBTQ athletes. They might not necessarily be from Iona, but they will be. The focus will be on young athletes, though, either in college or just recently coming out of college, and we'll discuss with them the issues that they've had to face. And it won't be all about gay men either. I mean, you have lots of different issues. For example, coming at it from a different direction, there's oftentimes this assumption that if a woman plays, say, for the softball team or plays for
the rugby team,
the rugby team, that she's automatically lesbian, and that's a different issue that could come up in conversation as well, and other things. I mean, we have a transgender panelist who, this is an interesting story, was featured in USA Today about a year ago, went to SUNY Purchase, played for the first 2 years on the women's volleyball team, and was arguably the best player on the women's volleyball team, and then played the second 2 years on the men's volleyball team and was named captain of the team and fully embraced.
Wow.
Okay, and so this is a person born biologically female, but always but feeling inside as a male. So and that's also a big issue in sports when it comes to transgendered people, and especially when the men's sports versus women's sports, and where are they going to allow them to play and this sort of thing. So it should be very interesting.
Yeah, that sounds interesting.
And that'll be in the end zone. So when it's in the end zone, the big draw, besides the exciting panels and the videos, will be the popcorn.
Oh, wow! There was an issue with the popcorn machine yesterday.
Oh no.
Don't
say
I hope they get that off.
Fire alarm goes off. I'm trying to study for my STL midterm. It's 5 o'clock. Class at 6.
Yes, there was a fire. Sorted out.
Jeez.
It's that butter,
It's that butter. Worst comes to worst, you get the cotton candy.
Okay.
Worst comes to
We'll
worst.
work on it.
Well, we will definitely advertise for these events, the last two coming up, and then, of course, tomorrow, Thursday, from 5 to 6 in the end zone, and that's Waking Up from the American Dream, Immigrants in the Media. So looking forward to that, and thank you, Dr. Kelso, for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
It was an honor.
Hey,
we will.
Mutual.
Maybe you have to come back for your second time on the Yappy Hour.
I'd be happy to. Maybe to bring
maybe a panel.
Well, I don't know if I could get the guest in for that, but maybe for the third. Yeah, it'd be nice to get some of them.
That'd be something.
Yeah,
definitely something to discuss. All right, we will be right back on the Yappy Hour with more news of the day.
That was fun.
That was fun.
Oh wait, we're still on.
In America too.